So when you search car drawings on YouTube, you are met with a lot of really cool videos of insanely talented artists painting on Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Teslas, all that stuff. And personally, as an artist, I always found it really cool, but I never thought that I would get an opportunity to draw on a car myself until recently. However, the car that I was drawing on wasn't any of the standard Lambos or Teslas that you see on YouTube. I had never seen a car like this, which only made me want to create artwork that matched the uniqueness and particular style of the vehicle. So with that being said, let's get started. I wasn't as nervous as I thought going into this. The only time that I was nervous was putting down the first line. Well, actually the first 5 minutes were quite nerve-wracking, but after that I really started to get at it. Within the first hour I was able to see the direction that I was taking the piece in, however I found it still a bit difficult to picture the whole thing. First off, I'm doing this with no pencils beforehand, it's just straight marker on the car, and if I mess up, I don't really know. I think I could erase the lines really quickly before the paint markers dry, but pretty much everything you see is permanent, so I have to be very careful with this. Also, I forgot to mention that I'm drawing this in a massive warehouse filled with steel beams and solar panels everywhere, so once in a while if you see some stuff going on in the background, that's what that is. Because this is my first car I've ever drawn on, I did sketch up a little plan beforehand even though I was freestyling this with paint markers. I did use the sketch as a creative foundation for the actual piece, but I was mainly using my imagination and a bit of surrealism to add more of a story to the car. I don't really know how much time I will end up spending on the car, but I was hoping by the end of the day it would give me a good estimate for how many days this would end up taking me. But once I finished for the day, I was still a bit stumped because I realized that every angle of the car made me draw at a different pace. So by the end of the project, I want the car itself to look alive with a world within the details of the car. But yeah, so this is kind of where I left off. But yeah, I'll see you guys on day 2. Hello guys, welcome to day 2 of drawing on the car. I just woke up this morning, just thought I would take a walk around the old stomping grounds. This is actually where I used to live a few years ago, back when I was living in that tiny house. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but let's cut to a montage. Alright, so we are now on day 2, and I was really determined to get the entire front of the car done, but it turns out that I wouldn't even get to the hood by the end of the day. Nonetheless, we were able to get a ton more art done. I mean, day 1 kind of set the tone for the level of detail that I'd be displaying on the entire car, so I just had to make sure to match that look for the rest of the body, and I drew in little scenes and just had fun doodling in nature and abstractions as I just listened to music throughout the day and continued drawing. Really, for me, it's just once I lock into the flow state, and my mind is just there's no time that exists, there's nothing outside of what I'm creating, I could kind of just go for hours, and I just kind of let that happen. But during the evening, we decided to take a little break to check out some really cool art. The owner of the vehicle actually decided to show us these insane hand-carved woolly mammoth tusks that his family had in their collection. And after we got back from our mini excursion, I finished up for the day, and I was able to set myself up to complete the hood and the entire front by the end of day 3. So we called it a night and headed into sleep. Hey guys, it's day 3. I'm on a bike. We're downtown right now. We just had to pick up lunch. Woke up a little late today, but we're getting the day started. So let's go. Alright, so day 3 is here, and to be honest, I did hype myself up just a little bit too much in my head for this part. Finally finished with the front of the car. We are now moving on to the hood, finally. I looked at the hood of the car as the centerpiece of the whole thing, so I knew that I had to do really good with it. I did take some inspiration from a previous illustration that I did titled Hermeticism. I took parts of the overall composition, like having the character heads on the sides with the worldly image taking up most of the center. Last, I added in these cherubs, which I thought would be a pretty nice finishing touch. Oh yeah, and about halfway through working on this thing, I actually was having a great conversation with one of the workers, and I showed him a little bit of my endless paper world, which some of you guys might remember from my previous video. And it's basically, it's infinite. It just goes on forever. And so I've been drawing in this for almost a year now. If you want to zoom out yourself and explore this world, because it just keeps going.
What? This shit is fucking sweet. fuck off. I gotta come back out with it. The whole time, hey, then it turned into a house where all the shit I've been looking at is in. Oh, bro, this shit's sweet.
Thank you.
This shit is fucking sweet. What the fuck? Is this a picture in the music?
I mean, we started this right at noon and then we ended at midnight, so it was pretty much a full, like, just 12 hours of drawing, and we were able to get all this done. I'm pretty happy with the work. However, I thought I could maybe do a little bit better. I think I did just, like, get a little bit too nervous at the beginning, and just personally for me, like, with my own eyes, I could, like, see where I could have done better, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the car. That's just, like, one of those artist critique moments. But yeah, I mean, after this, I was really tired. I mean, this was probably the longest day we've had so far, so I just crashed and I slept really good that night just from all the work that we've been doing up to this point.
What the fuck? It's coming out the monster face.
Now, day 4 was definitely my slow day. The up and down angle of the doors made it really hard to make any progress because of, one, how low the car sat, and then two, just like it being up and down and not being able to rest my hand on it. So I actually kind of like used my pinky as like a stabilizer where I'd have it on the car, and then I'd draw with the rest of my hand wherever I needed to, which was interesting to say the least. I just kind of went the whole day questioning why I wasn't done yet, considering how much ground we covered on day 3 and before, but I guess it really just came down to the angle of the car just slowing me down, which I didn't realize until like days after, and I was looking at the footage and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. But the idea behind this car was to create a playful image that if you looked closer, it would open the viewer to this deeper world underneath the doodles in nature, kind of like the endless paper world that I do. I decided to go for this like dual sun and moon vibe when I started to kind of represent the couple that use the vehicle, kind of more as like a masculine feminine vibe. They also asked me to add a few of their own ideas that I would sprinkle in through the vehicle, which actually worked as like a fun challenge for me, as I drew in their dog and a few other things that, you know, family members would just stop by and they'd be like, hey, add a pair of tits, and so that's what I did. I hid a pair of tits in there. I'm not sure if you could find it or you'll be able to see it with any of the clips I took. We'll see. Well, if you could spot it, then good for you, I guess. Creative improvisation plays a huge part in my style in expanding certain worlds, so it was really fun just to be able to do that with this project. It just made it a lot more enjoyable. I think in the end it really kind of showed on the car how much fun the process was. Day 5 now, and actually my bike got an upgrade. We got a screen on this thing now. This thing zooms even faster, so I'm pretty hyped to go on this. Hopefully I don't crash. Also gonna be shooting for some new synthetic stuff today. This has been in the works for 3 years now, actually. I made this design 3 years ago, and I've been wanting this exact thing forever, and we're finally doing it, so I'm really excited. But yeah, taking a different route today, guys. Holy shit. Oh no. Oh no. So day 5 was when I was expecting to finish this car, but holy moly, my hand was still on fire from the day before and from just the angle that I was drawing at yesterday. We did some fun things though, which was a nice breather to allow myself some time to rest my arm and to just look at anything else besides the car. We went out to this abandoned, I think it's like a train station or something, and got some nice pictures for my brand's release at the time. We released these Mind Palace t-shirts, which were pretty cool. Currently, we do have a one-of-one collection if you guys want to support that. But yeah, once we got done doing that, you know, I was just back to drawing. One thing that I've learned about my artistic process, and I think my life in general, is balance. And this is how I applied balance to my creative process throughout this piece. Everything I decide to draw is allowed to be repeated again. Once I repeat something more than twice, that establishes the frequency that I will use that particular object or thing. I also loosely made sure that if I drew a sun on one side, I would draw the moon on the other side and in the same place. With all these loose rules to follow as I went, it allowed me to somewhat balance the overall style of art on the car so it stayed consistent throughout the entire process. Anyways, let's get to day 6 and the final reveal. So when I came in to finish a job, I knew that I didn't need the whole day to complete it all. The other part that took a considerable amount of time on this day was just checking over the entire car for any little things that I could have possibly missed. Once a few check-throughs were complete, I called the car finished. And then an entire month passed between when I finished the car drawing and when it was actually spray coated and road ready. Long story short, there were some technical difficulties, but luckily the whole thing was disassembled, sprayed, and reassembled without an issue. And I had an amazing time drawing on this. Shout out to Lucas and his family for keeping me company and also just giving me this opportunity. Now this has to be the wildest project that I've done up to this point, because we didn't just draw on any car, we drew on this car out of all the ones that we could have drawn on. Never have I ever seen a car like it before, and it really did push me both mentally and physically. I feel like I was able to accomplish something more than just art on a car, but a whole world filled with multiple stories which only will add to the full story behind the car itself with time. Hopefully we will get more projects like this in the future, as I feel we've explored a whole new lane of my work that I never knew existed. Anyways, thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next time.